So I want to show you how exactly to set up your Nvidia RTX GPU to get the best settings possible. Hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have the smoothest gameplay and the best performance that you can get. So first off, what you want to do is right click on the desktop and then hit show more options and then hit Nvidia control panel, or you could also hit, search here the Nvidia app. This is the new version. Basically what this is the old way of doing this, and then this is the new app that Nvidia is trying to roll out. They're basically trying to merge all these settings right here under the Nvidia app. So I want to go through the Nvidia app first. Basically they're the same. So what you want to do first is update your game drivers to the latest. After that, once you're up to date, you want to go to graphics, head to global settings, and from here, this is where we want to mostly set up your Nvidia for peak performance. So first off, this is more of a personal preference. I have an OLED monitor, so I want to turn on the RTX dynamic vibrance. So set this to on. And then the settings for this one, you want to go to under system display and then go to color, set it to Nvidia, and then under here actually you have digital vibrance. I've set it to 55 at the moment. I noticed with my OLED monitor, if I set it to 60 and up, it gets too unnatural. It's like too contrasty, too popping out and stuff, but it doesn't look natural. So I've set it to 55 at the moment. Now back to global settings. If you're playing under HDR mode, then you want to turn this on, and then CUDA GPU, set it to your GPU right here. I have the RTX 5080. DLSS override, model presets. I've currently set this everything to latest. Frame generation, latest. Reconstruction, latest. Super resolution, latest. Basically, you pretty much hit latest here. I'm not sure why it was under custom, but set it to latest. And then DLSS override, frame gen. This depends on your GPU. I've set it to 4x. Now, mind you, this is the global settings, okay? So if you're playing RTS games or like Counter-Strike, Dota 2, League of Legends, Fortnite and stuff, you want to go to under program settings. It's gonna be per game basis, and then you want to turn that off in this settings right here. Back to global settings, DSR factor. So these are for monitors. If you have like 1080p but you want a crisper image, then you want to turn this on and set the scaling up like for 2080 or 5K resolution or even bigger. Then this makes your this makes the images a lot crisper, but I'm playing in 4K, so I don't really need it right now, so I'll turn it off. Smooth motion, currently it's off. Low latency mode, you want this to be set to ultra. We'll get to it in a second. Basically what this is, we want to pair this with the VSync to turn on. I know this is a bit controversial, but trust me on this one. You want to set the VSync on under the Nvidia app or the Nvidia control panel, and then pair it with low latency mode under ultra. This makes everything go through the GPU and make sure everything is set to in sync with your GPU and the monitor. Also, set the max frame rate to off. Monitor technology, if you have a G-Sync compatible monitor, which I do, then you want to set this to, you want to enable it basically. Then OpenGL GDI compatibility, set it to auto. Vulkan OpenGL, set it to auto. Power management mode, you want to set this to normal, not prefer maximum performance, because what it does is it's going to set your GPU always at 100% even when idle, which makes the GPU hotter. So you don't want the GPU to be hotter. Set it to normal. Super shader cache size. So if you can, you want to set this up to like 100 gigabytes. 10 to 100 gigabytes is pretty good. Basically what it does is going to pre-render the shader for the GPUs, so for a faster loading. And then again, VSync is on. Virtual reality VRR super sampling rating, you don't really need this one, so set this to off. Anisotropic filtering, set it to application controlled. Anti-aliasing, set this to off because you want to turn this on a per game basis, so basically under the inside the game settings. Then anti-aliasing transparency, set it to off. Background application max frame rate off. MFAH, set it to off. PhysX, set this to your whatever GPU you have. I currently have the RTX 5080. Texture filtering, anisotropic sample optimization, set this to on. Negative LOD bias, set this to allow. Texture filtering quality, set this to quality as well. If you think you're getting some FPS drop, then set it to performance. I don't really like the high performance because it makes the graphics really pixelated and all that. So just set this to the least performance or quality, basically. Texture filtering, trilinear optimization, set this on. Basically it has minimal impact on the FPS. Now, under program settings, this is where basically these are the in-game settings, right? I'm not running the game right now, but basically what you can see here, if you are playing RTS or like, let's say for example, Dota 2 or Counter-Strike and stuff, normally it's not going to, where is that, smooth motion? Yeah, normally these ones, the frame generation, super resolution, they are unsupported, so you don't really need to. But if these are enabled, you want to turn this off because you want the least amount of latency. And frame generation adds a lot of latency. These are good for AAA, but not for competitive games, basically. So, and then under here, what you want to do in the in-game, you want to set the VSync inside the game to off, but under the global settings, set the VSync to on. So that's the key part right here. Turn this on the global settings to make the NVIDIA control panel control the VSync of the frame rate and the monitor's refresh rate, but inside the game, turn this off because this adds latency. It's kind of weird, but it gives you the smoothest gameplay possible with the least amount of latency for some reason. Now let's go to the NVIDIA control panel because there are quite a couple of settings there that is not showing still on the NVIDIA app. So let's go to manage 3D settings under the control panel and then scroll down to OpenGL rendering GPU. You want to set this to your GPU right now. I mean, it's auto select, but it's better to just like set it right off the bat right here so it doesn't have to really, look for it and stuff. Again, the VSync is on. The reason why you want to turn this on is because, well, I have to turn it on because I have a G-Sync compatible monitor, which is I turn it on. So if you have a G-Sync compatible, the best and the least amount of latency that you can have is turn the VSync on in the NVIDIA control panel so it controls the frame rate according to your monitor's refresh rate, and then set the low latency mode to ultra. Okay, again, this is for G-Sync compatible monitors. If you're turning this on, then VSync, turn it on. Now, if you don't have a G-Sync compatible monitor, set this to off. Also, preferred refresh rate of your monitor, basically this is my OLED monitor, you want to set this to highest possible. Then power management, again, set this to normal. You don't want the GPU to be always hot. Multi-frame sampled MFAA, set this to off. Max frame rate, you don't want to cap this. Basically, you already have the G-Sync set to on. And then on games that has the NVIDIA Reflex, you want to set this to on. Basically, it already caps the NVIDIA Reflex according to the monitor's refresh rate to sync with your G-Sync. Okay, so that's that. Then let's go back to program settings. So this is per game program settings. If you want to set this, especially like I'm playing Dota 2, you don't really need the V-Sync. So you want to turn that off in game while in the NVIDIA control panel, again, is turned on. So this gives you the least amount of latency possible while having the smoothest gameplay. Now let's go to the display settings of your NVIDIA. So these are completely personal preference. Now I have an OLED screen with a G-Sync compatible again, so this is turned on right here. My native resolution is 4K. So if you have a 1440p, set it to your native monitor resolution at 1440p. Your refresh rate, set it to whatever your maximum refresh rate your monitor has. Orientation, landscape, of course. Scaling mode. So this one is also personal preference. I set it to aspect ratio at the moment. If you prefer full screen, set it to full screen. And then under color, I've set this to NVIDIA, and then you want to set the color depth to highest. Output color depth, yeah, whatever your monitor has. I've currently set this to 10 bpc. If you have 8 bpc, then set it to 8 bpc. Output color format, it's mostly RGB for monitors, but if you have a different one, then set this to a different one right here. Output dynamic range, you want to set this to full, so you want to have the full spectrum of the color. Now for this one, color accuracy mode, currently I've set it to enhance because I'm using NVIDIA, and I've set this digital vibrance to 55. Again, this is personal preference. Under video, these are not for games. These basically are for like videos or on browsing videos on the internet like YouTube or whatever. So basically I've set this super resolution to on. It's using the AI to basically enhance the videos to make it a little crisper and stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes not. So these are personal preference. I've set the HDR to on. Basically what it does is turns on the NVIDIA when you're watching like a video, YouTube, or media player and stuff. The peak brightness, you want to set this to whatever your monitor is capable of for the peak brightness and stuff. Now let's head back to the NVIDIA control panel. There is one setting here that I want you to check. So go to help and then click on system information. Once the system information window turns up, look for Resizable BAR. Now, if you see this one, Resizable BAR, it means your GPU is compatible or supports Resizable BAR. If it's set to no, you want to restart and go to your BIOS and enable that. This is essential to get the absolute best for your GPU and your gameplay experience, basically. So make sure you have it. This is especially for the GPUs of 30X or 30 series GPUs, 40 series, and now 50 series. Basically 30 series and up. So make sure you have the Resizable BAR turned on or set to yes. And to close it off, I want to show you some of the B-rolls of the gameplays on my RTX 5080 playing at 4K with different games. And by the way, don't forget to smash the like button, and if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to the channel. This is Lars. I'm gonna see you on the next video.